You ever notice how the world changes when you walk in believing in yourself? I'm not talking about being arrogant. I'm talking about that quiet, unshakable kind of belief that says, I know where I've been, I know where I'm going, and I'm okay with both. See, people can smell insecurity the way a dog can smell fear. And they can sense confidence the same way the sun can feel your skin. It's impossible to hide. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn by the way you carry yourself. Now, here's the thing. Most folks think respect is about what you say, or how much money you've got, or how perfect you look in the eyes of the world. Nah, that's temporary. Real respect comes when you've been through storms, you've taken some hits, you've got a few scars, and you still show up with your head held high. Those scars, they're not signs of weakness. They're proof you've lived, proof you've grown, proof you've fought battles that other people only talk about. And when people see that you've been through the fire, but didn't let the flames define you, they can't help but respect that. See, people don't follow perfect. They follow real. And real comes from confidence, not from pretending you've got it all together. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just have to be the one who knows who they are when they walk in. And that comes from one thing, believing in your journey. I'll tell you something. The moment you start being consistent in your words, in your actions, in your character, people start watching. At first, they might doubt you, laugh at you, or ignore you. But the day they see you still standing, still grinding, still moving with integrity when the hype has died down, that's the day they start respecting you. And don't forget this. People learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. If you talk down to yourself, if you let people cross your boundaries, if you carry yourself like you're not worth much, don't be surprised when the world believes you. But when you walk in with self-respect, when you protect your peace, when you refuse to shrink just to make other people comfortable, you teach the world exactly how to deal with you. Believe in your journey, every step, every stumble, every comeback, because the moment you do, you'll see how the world starts believing in it too. You know, a lot of people out here spend so much energy trying to get other people to like them, notice them, respect them. They change the way they dress. They change the way they talk. They start chasing approval like it's the air they breathe. And I get it. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to feel valued. But the thing nobody tells you is this: you can't trick people into truly respecting you. You can fake charm. You can put on confidence for a little while. But if you don't respect yourself on the inside, sooner or later the mask slips and people will see right through you. See, respect isn't something you paste on from the outside. It's not a logo you wear. It's not a title you hold. It's not a car you drive or a watch you flash. Respect is something that starts deep down in the quiet parts of your heart and mind. It's how you talk to yourself when nobody's listening. It's how you carry yourself when there's no audience to applaud you. It's whether you keep your word to yourself. Because if you can't keep promises to yourself, you'll never have the backbone to keep them to other people. When you start with self-respect, something changes in the way you move. You stop chasing validation and you start attracting it. People pick up on the way you hold your head, the way you look them in the eye, the way you don't flinch when life throws something unexpected your way. And that's not because you think you're better than anybody. It's because you've already done the work inside. You've already faced yourself in the mirror and decided, I'm worth it. I'm enough. I'm going to live in a way that honors that. The truth is, respect is magnetic, but the magnet starts in your chest. When you have it for yourself, you don't have to beg for it from others. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to exhaust yourself trying to be someone you're not. People will respect you because you respect you. And there's no shortcut to that. Think about it. If you're always apologizing for your existence, if you're constantly downplaying your talents, if you never speak up when someone crosses a line, you're teaching people that your boundaries don't matter. And when people learn that lesson, they treat you accordingly. But if you stand your ground, not in a loud, aggressive way, but in a steady, unshakable way, you send a whole different message. You're saying, I know my worth, and I won't bargain it away for a seat at your table. And that's when the dynamic changes. Here's the part most folks miss is self. Respect isn't loud. It's not about walking into a room with your chest puffed out or throwing your achievements in people's faces. It's in the little choices you make every single day. It's in turning down something that doesn't align with your values, even if it's tempting. It's in leaving situations that don't serve your peace. It's in being okay with someone not liking you, because you'd rather be disliked for standing on your principles than loved for pretending to be someone else. And when you live like that, people feel it. They see that you're not desperate for their approval. They notice that your mood doesn't rise and fall based on whether they praise you or not. They see that you've got your own center of gravity. And that's rare in a world where so many people are just spinning around looking for someone else to tell them who they are. Respect from the outside will always be fragile if it's not rooted in respect from the inside. Because if you build it only on what other people think, all it takes is one person's opinion to knock you off your feet. But if you've built it inside first, if you've done the work to know your own value, then no gossip, no criticism, no sideways look can take it away from you. It's funny because once you start respecting yourself, you start making different choices without even realizing it. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop staying in rooms where you're not valued. You stop agreeing to things just so people will think you're easygoing. You start moving differently, more deliberate, more sure, more grounded. And people notice. They might not say it out loud, but they notice. And deep down, whether they like you or not, they respect that you won't bend yourself out of shape to fit into their box. The beautiful thing is, once you set that standard inside yourself, it becomes a filter for everything else. It shapes the kind of relationships you keep, the kind of work you do, the kind of life you build. And little by little, the outside world starts reflecting the respect you've been giving yourself all along. You ever notice how we live in a world where everybody's trying to look perfect? Perfect smiles, perfect captions, perfect lives on display. It's like everybody's in a contest to see who can hide their flaws the best. But here's the truth. Nobody actually connects to perfection. They might admire it from a distance. They might scroll through your pictures and think, wow, they've got it all together, but that's not what makes people follow you, believe in you, or respect you. What draws people in is confidence. And real confidence isn't about being flawless. It's about owning yourself exactly as you are. When you walk into a room with confidence, you change the energy without saying a word. You could be wearing the same outfit you wore yesterday. Your hair could be a little out of place, but if you walk in knowing who you are and what you bring, people feel it. And it's not about arrogance. Arrogance is loud. It's insecure in disguise. Confidence is quiet. It's calm. It's rooted. It says, I'm good with me, and I don't need your approval to prove it. See, perfection is exhausting, not just for the person trying to keep it up, but for everybody around them, because perfection creates distance. When someone seems like they've never made a mistake, never had a bad day, never tripped up, you can't relate to them. You might clap for them, but you don't feel connected to them. Confidence, though. Confidence says, yeah, I've messed up, I've stumbled. I've been through some rough seasons, but I'm still here, and I know my value. That's the kind of thing that makes people want to stand beside you. Think about the people you admire the most. It's probably not because they've never failed. It's because they kept going after they did. They didn't hide their flaws. They didn't try to pretend everything was perfect. They walked forward anyway. That's confidence. It's not the absence of doubt. It's the decision not to let doubt stop you. The problem is a lot of people confuse confidence with having it all figured out. They think they'll start showing up with confidence when they've got more money, when they've hit a certain weight, when they've got the perfect relationship, when all the pieces are in place. But confidence doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect. It grows in the middle of the mess. If you keep waiting until everything is flawless, you'll never take that first step. and the world will never get to see what you're really capable of. Confidence is powerful because it gives other people permission to be themselves too. When they see you walking into situations without hiding who you are, they start thinking, maybe I can do that too. And that's why people follow confidence. It's contagious. It makes them feel stronger, braver, more willing to take chances. Perfection, on the other hand, makes them feel like they'll never measure up, so they just stop trying. And here's the thing. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel nervous. It doesn't mean you never question yourself. It just means you've learned to move anyway. You've learned to hear that little voice in your head that says, what if you fail? And answer it with, what if I don't? You've learned that courage doesn't come from knowing you'll win. It comes from being willing to try no matter what happens. When people see that in you, they start trusting you. They think, if they're willing to take that risk, maybe I can trust them to lead me through mine. That's why leaders aren't the ones with perfect resumes. They're the ones with presence. The ones who walk into the unknown without flinching. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be steady. They need to believe that even if things go wrong, you won't fall apart. I've seen people with all the talent in the world fail to inspire anyone because they were too busy chasing an image of perfection. And I've seen people with half the skill light up an entire room just because they believed in themselves. That's the difference. Confidence takes what you have, no matter how small it seems, and makes it enough. Perfection is always chasing more, always moving the goalpost, never satisfied. If you want people to follow you, you have to be willing to show them your humanity. Let them see the cracks in your armor, because that's where the light gets in. Let them see you try and stumble and get back up. Let them see that you can laugh at yourself, that you can admit when you're wrong, that you can face challenges without pretending they don't scare you. That's confidence. Not needing to be bulletproof, but trusting that even with the dents and scratches, you're still standing strong. And the beautiful part is, the more you live with that kind of confidence, the less you worry about who's watching, who's judging, or who's keeping score. You stop trying to manage people's perceptions and start focusing on the path you're walking. And people feel that freedom. They see that you're not weighed down by the need to be perfect, and it makes them want to walk alongside you. You know, somewhere along the way, we got it twisted. We started thinking that if life leaves a mark on us, if we've got scars, whether they're the kind you can see or the kind nobody else knows about, that somehow means we're damaged, less worthy, less strong. But I'll tell you right now, that couldn't be further from the truth. Your scars are your receipts. They're proof you've been in the fight. They're proof you didn't just sit on the sidelines watching life happen. You showed up, you faced it, and you made it through. See, people love to talk about success like it's this clean, shiny, straight road. But the truth is, every person you've ever admired has walked through something hard, something messy, something that left them different than before. The difference is they didn't hide from it. They didn't pretend it never happened. They learned from it, and they carried those lessons forward. And that's where real strength comes from. Not in avoiding the hard stuff, but in walking through it and coming out on the other side. Every scar has a story. Maybe yours came from a time you trusted the wrong person. Maybe it came from a season where everything you thought was certain fell apart. Maybe it came from a mistake you made when you didn't know better. And I know, in the moment, those times feel like they're breaking you. You wonder if you'll ever get back to who you were before. But here's the truth. You're not supposed to go back. You're supposed to grow into someone wiser, stronger, and more grounded than before. I've met people who spend their whole lives trying to cover up their scars, like if nobody can see them, maybe they'll be easier to live with. But what they don't realize is hiding them doesn't make them disappear. It just keeps you from owning your story. And when you don't own your story, someone else will try to write it for you. Your scars are nothing to be ashamed of. They are chapters in a book that proves you've overcome. They are proof you've got endurance. They are reminders that you've survived 100% of your worst days so far. And the thing is, people respect scars more than they respect perfection. You can't relate to someone who's never been knocked down because you don't know if they can handle the weight of real life. But when you meet someone who's been through the fire and didn't lose themselves in it, that's somebody you can trust. That's somebody you can follow. That's somebody whose words have weight because they've been tested. Sometimes your setbacks are what give you the kind of credibility no degree, no title, no award could ever give you. When you've been through pain, you learn empathy. You learn how to see people, how to hear them, how to walk with them through their own storms. You stop looking down on people for struggling because you know what it's like to be in that place. And that makes you the kind of person people respect, not just for your wins, but for the heart you built in your losses. And I'm not saying every scar will feel like a badge of honor right away. Some will take time to make peace with. Some will still hurt when you touch them, even years later. But over time, you start to see the bigger picture. You start realizing that the things you thought would destroy you actually shaped the best parts of who you are. They taught you patience. They taught you resilience. They taught you the difference between people who clap for you when you're winning and people who stand by you when you're losing. Every setback you've had was also a setup for something you couldn't see at the time. Maybe it forced you to let go of something you were holding too tightly. Maybe it pushed you in a direction you never would have chosen, but one that turned out to be better for you in the long run. Maybe it taught you a truth about yourself that you needed to know in order to step into your next chapter. Whatever it was, it left you with more than just pain. It left you with perspective. And that's the thing about growth. It doesn't come wrapped in a pretty package. Growth is messy, it's uncomfortable, it's sometimes lonely, but it's also what makes you unshakable. When you've been through enough storms, you stop being afraid of a little rain. You know the clouds don't last forever. You know you've got it in you to weather it. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, that's strength. So don't be afraid to show your scars. Don't be afraid to tell your story, the whole story, not just the highlight reel. Because when people see the real you, the you who's been knocked down and got back up, the you who's faced losses and kept moving, they don't just respect you, they believe you. And when they believe you, they'll follow you anywhere. One thing I've learned in life is that people might hear what you say, but they will always believe what you do. You can talk about your values all day long, you can make promises until your voice runs out. But none of that means much if your actions don't match. And that's where consistency comes in. See, words are easy. Anyone can say the right thing in the right moment. But consistency, that's what builds credibility. That's what makes people believe you're the real deal. Consistency isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making a mistake. It's about showing up over and over again in a way that aligns with who you say you are. It's about proving through your actions that you mean what you say. And the thing is, you don't build that kind of trust overnight. It happens little by little in the small things you do every day, in the way you handle yourself when nobody's watching, in the way you keep showing up even when it's not convenient or exciting. I've seen people ruin their credibility because they thought big words and big gestures would make people trust them. They'd make promises they couldn't keep, or they'd only show up when there was something in it for them. And every time they failed to follow through, every time their actions didn't match their talk, they chipped away at the trust people had in them. On the flip side, I've watched people with no flashy speeches and no dramatic entrances slowly become the most respected in the room simply because they were reliable. If they said they'd be there, they were there. If they made a commitment, they kept it. People knew they could count on them, and that's worth more than any charm or charisma you could ever fake. The truth is, consistency is like compound interest. It might not look like much at first, but over time, it builds something solid. You keep showing up on time. You keep doing what you said you would do. You keep treating people with respect. And before long, you've got a reputation that speaks louder than anything you could say. And once you've built that, people trust you. They respect you. They believe in you because you've given them reason after reason to do so. But here's the part a lot of folks don't want to hear. Consistency takes discipline. It's not always fun. It means doing the work when you don't feel like it. It means keeping your word even when it would be easier to make an excuse. It means showing up for people even when you're tired, even when it's inconvenient, because you value the trust you've built with them more than the comfort of taking the easy way out. And that's why not everyone can do it, because it's hard. But that's also why it's so powerful, because it's rare. People are watching you all the time, even when you think they're not. They're watching how you treat people when you don't need anything from them. They're watching how you handle setbacks. They're watching whether you show up the same way when you're winning as you do when you're struggling. And every time you choose to be consistent, you're building a track record they can trust. That's why when you finally step up to lead, they'll